In this video, you are about to see one of the most annoying games I have played in a long time. This is round 2 of the 2025 Edmonton Spring Sectional, and I was 1 for 1 already in my tournament. What was I going to do? Well, I was going to play my normal e4 setup and go for a win. But little did I know about my opponent. And what's really annoying is especially when he plays the Caro Kann. So, in this game, it started out with e4, c6, the Caro Kann. And I decided to play the f3 fantasy. And this is considered very difficult for black to try and figure out, as if you don't know the most optimal line, you are going to succumb a lot of pressure and a lot of annoyance and possibly a loss of a game. And so there's a lot of theoretical points in this. Takes, and e5. I play knight to f3, he plays bishop out here, and I play bishop to c4. And this is the mainline fantasy. And what black usually needs to do is bring their knight to d7 and basically white castles and plays c3 and develops their pieces. But no, in this game, my opponent played the first mistake and decided to take my knight with the bishop. Now this is bad because after queen takes, he brings out his queen and it's dead lost on move 7. This is the second game in my Road to Candidates Master Series where basically I have a winning position after 7 or 8 moves, and this is just unbelievable. In this position, the move here is queen to h3, targeting this weak diagonal. And basically, black literally has nothing that they can do, because after something like knight to d7 now, rook f1 is the move and everything is coming in and white is completely winning. And I could not believe this when I saw my eyes after I did the analysis. And instead, what I did was the exact opposite. Instead of going queen to h3, what happened was that I castled. And this is wrong, because after queen takes and rook takes, yes, I do have an advantage, but it's not as big. f6 is the move that saves the game for black, and now white doesn't have as strong as counterplay as they thought or they once had. And therefore, now in this position, I take the pawns and I take his other pawn, and he moves his king out of the way. I play bishop to g5 check. He plays bishop here. And now in this position, I take his bishop, which is considered wrong, because what you need to do is you need to hold this pin and instead play rook to d3. And in fact, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out if I should play this move, but I didn't see any follow through after knight d7. And so it got very complicated, and I really didn't want to do that. And so I ended up trading the bishops, bringing the knight into the game, and now black is completely back into the game. They can develop their pieces, and they are completely fine. And it ended up that after knight f6, bishop to b3, and knight to d7, b to d7 specifically, black is completely fine, and they are in the advantage point. Because guess what? Black has everything they've ever wanted, while white seemingly has an isolated pawn, and it gets really nasty for white because they have to try and find some sort of counterplay with the d file and possibly the f file if it opens up. But black has everything they've ever wanted. I play a4, we have knight to c5, and I was expecting this knight to c5 jump because I can't actually defend knight to c5, and I bring my bishop back and he plays g6. Now this is more or somewhat equal to. And so I attack his knight, he brings it back, I exchange the knight for the bishop, and I play rook a to d1. Now I have control of this file. Black also can fight for the file. Now I bring my rook f to d3. And yes, he could exchange, which he did, but he could have also held the pressure as well. I mean, he could have played something like this, and he would have been completely fine and probably doubled up. But like I said, it would probably most likely be a draw if that happened. And instead he takes, I take back, and then he plays this nice move, rook h to f8. Now basically throwing this haymaker and not allowing my king to get into the game. And that's where I played the very first mistake of my game. I play rook to f3, and this was an atrocious move. And I highly regret it because now I realized that I completely gave up this file. But I thought I was only giving it up temporarily. But no, I gave it up permanently. And after rook f to d8, I brought my rook back and he played rook to d4. And my heart sunk in my chest. It was awful. It felt like I was going to be now down a pawn and trying to fight a winningless endgame. And so now I play b5, he goes c6, and now there's nothing that I can do because he's going to bring his rook into the game and force a lot of problems. I go here, he goes rook here. Now I can't defend the pawn because if I were to go something like this, it's going to be bad. He can just take, I take, and he can take back. And now he's up the pawn and completely winning in this endgame. So I played here, he goes rook here, and I push my pawn. He takes the pawn, still losing, but I try to force counterplay. I now played this move because now I want to play the b6 and possibly take, but he goes here, attacks my rook. I bring my rook back, and now he tries to attack my knight and my pawn at the same time, and now it's starting to get really bad. But there's one move that holds. I play rook to a1, holding the knight, yes, giving up the pawn, but I have tactics if he gets greedy. So he plays knight back. Now this is not really a problem because, I mean, he could go knight for rook, but he's attacking this twice, and the pawn is going to be dropping soon. I play a6 as a counter move. You cannot play this move because actually I have a beautiful move, and that's knight takes b6. And this was the idea to promote my pawn to a queen. And yeah, this is completely winning. And that would have been the move if I did that. If he would have played b6, which I would have been ecstatic to have that move. But unfortunately, he didn't play that. And after a6, he just simply took. And now white has no counterplay. I push, I take, he takes back, I take a pawn, but he's up 2 pawns. And this is the problem because I now have no counterplay. He brings his rook up, I push my pawn so I don't get checkmated too quickly, and now he starts running his pawn. I bring my rook back, and then he plays knight to h5 in this position. And I remember playing this move instantly and completely forgetting about one thing. A g4 fork. And I was very disappointed when I did not see this. And now I just realized that he can just go here. And now there's some drawing chances. It's going to be tough, but there are drawing chances, believe it or not. And even though there are 4 black pawns for the black pieces, I have a knight and I have a rook. And yeah, the position is now equal, hilariously enough. But I didn't see that after knight h5. And I played this move, and now black is back in the game. He goes knight here, I take, he checks, I go here, he checks again, I bring my king back. And I found it very odd that he didn't take this, but I think the reason why he didn't take was because I have tactics. Takes, takes, takes. And now this is actually a draw. And I was still going to fight for a draw, no matter what it took. But none of that happened. And instead, he fought off very well. Instead, bringing his rook here, had to move my knight. He brought his rook back to the middle to d2. I brought my knight back. He took the pawn. And then I made the horrible mistake of going knight to e4 and losing to a fork. And in this position, ladies and gentlemen, the white pieces resign. And now I am 1 for 2. Now, this is a very valuable game and a very valuable lesson that I needed to definitely find just the small maneuvers in my game For example, this fork, so easy. I should have found it. But like I said, it would have been very difficult to hold still because black has many pawns and I would have to play a perfect endgame. But that doesn't happen in reality. And in fact, yeah, that didn't happen in this game. Another thing that I believe I missed was definitely the opening ideas. And after this very infamous queen move that I think gets played a lot, in fact, it's so oftenly played at the League Chess database, this move in this position has been played 10,000 times, which is just insane. But it's crazy because only 484 games have gone Queen H3. And so I believe in the future I should know this and not be stingy in castling or taking a pawn and all these different shenanigans, and just go for the win. And because I need to learn a little bit more theory in this fantasy, I think I know what I can do to improve. It's going to be hard. And yeah, this was just a sad opening mistake. And yeah, but now I know, and hopefully I can use this to my advantage, knowing the theory for the fantasy variation of the Caro-Kann. Still, I have a lot to work on, but it is indeed a powerful move. So once again, thank you everybody for coming. Stick around for round 3. It will be coming up soon, and I'll fill you in on that one. See you guys later.